Peace and goodness. I welcome you to yet another edition of Good Morning Mary. Today we are reflecting on the topic Intensifying of efforts in Mary's service. This is October devotion, and then we are called especially to intensify our efforts in Mary's devotion. But then how could we go about this without first of all knowing whom the Blessed Virgin Mary is? She is the Immaculate Mother of God. In the book of Genesis chapter 3, she is referred to as the woman whose heels will crush the head of the serpent. And in Isaiah chapter 7, she is referred to as the virgin who is going to conceive and bear a son. At the end of the Bible, in Revelation chapter 12, she is referred to as a woman clothed with the sun, with the moon under her feet, and then she was crowned with 12 stars. We are her children. We ought to promote her cause. Now, there are things that, of course, we ought to do in order to intensify our efforts in Mary's service. The very first and foremost thing which I would recommend is that we ought to look at her life and emulate her virtues. We ought to be living copies of Mary, such that people would look at us and see a difference. We ought to reflect what she reflected, stand for what she stood for. Of course, she stood for her son. And if we emulate her virtues, definitely we emulate Christ's virtue, because they are actually not opposed. Then we ought to promote devotion to her, spread devotion to her to the ends of the world if you can. Promote her libraries, promote her confraternities, her societies, and everything you could do. Of course, there are difficulties we may encounter as we do this. Part of the difficulties, which I think is one of the key difficulties we would encounter, is looking down into our lives and seeing our own weaknesses, our sinfulness. We would feel we are not competent, we are not capable, we are not called for such an exalted role, for such an exalted office. Yes. But then we ought not to count on our own selves, we ought not to count on our own strength, but on the grace of God, who helps us in this promotion. Such that when her son looks at us, the son can say, "Blessed rather is he who hears the word of God and cherishes it in his heart." Let us be those people who hear the word of God and cherish it in our hearts. Of course, another difficulty we might have is due to influence of bad friends. It could also be due to loss of faith. When we begin to lose our faith and begin to wonder really if there is meaning in what we do. Another difficulty we might encounter could be when we see people who jeer at us and who mock us. Then we ought not to pull back, ought not to get discouraged due to lack of positive results, because actually in the end, as she promises, her Immaculate Heart will triumph. Let us try to make this Immaculate Heart triumph in everything we do. Remember to like, to share the video, to subscribe to our channel. Actually costs nothing to subscribe. Stay blessed.